Alright guys, welcome back to Days of Darkness and welcome to my top 20 horror films of all time. Part 2. If you have not yet, go ahead and head on over and check out part 1 so you get some context to the list. And then, once you're caught up, go ahead and come on back here and let's continue the list, baby. Feel like part 1 went over pretty well, didn't really ruffle any feathers. I feel like everyone was pretty, cool with it. But there's always room for that in the future, right? So let's see if we can ruffle some feathers today. And if not, I hope you guys enjoyed the list nonetheless. Like I said, I had a blast putting this list together and also having a very hard time putting this list together because believe me, when you see the order of everything, it'll become pretty clear. Like there are movies that just kind of inched above other entries, like especially here there's some stuff that's like just a little bit better, not by much. That's what made this list so fucking hard. Like I said, ranking 20 horror films in the entire genre, kind of fucking difficult. And maybe I'll do a little honorable mentions video at some point, maybe before I get through with my or get on with the last part of this list, but I'm rambling quite a bit. I think we should just fucking get the hell right into it. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and kick it off with number 15. Alright, and we're kicking it off with Hereditary. Now, I've told all the stories. If you really, really want to get some, personal stories of me with this movie, go ahead and check out the movies that I think it was sometime last year, like early last, I can't remember, but scroll through my videos, you'll see it. It's like the movies that scared me, and this was one of them, dude. I often say, I said it with Ganja Haunted Asylum, like I said already. If you have, that was already mentioned in this list, and if you have not seen part 1 of this list, go check it out, because I thought it was a good video. So moving on. I said it there, and I'll say it here. There's not a lot of movies that really frighten me that much, man. There's just, and it's not a bad thing. I'm still thoroughly entertained by horror movies, but, an intention of horror movies is to scare you. And, I don't get scared. I just get some weird, warped sense of enjoyment from it. But every now and then there is a movie like a Ganja Haunted Asylum or like a Hereditary that will scare the living fuck out of me. Now, I won't say, in the moment, it's not like I was hiding behind a pillow or, anything like that. This movie just gripped me, man. And it didn't fucking let go. There's no sense of air with this movie. What I mean by that is it just doesn't let up. The pacing of the fucking, the horror in this movie. And one thing that I love about this movie is that it blends, paranormal, demonic horror with real life awful fucking horror shit that really does happen to families. This is a very tragic movie. It's the story of a family disintegrating, basically. And yes, obviously the demonic cult storyline is a big part of that, but before we even really get any real indication that that's what's going on, this family's already going through a shitstorm. The mom does not have a good relationship with the grandma, and the grandma dies, and the mom just doesn't really feel bad about it. And I gotta say, I've had experiences like that where it's like, and that's something that isn't showcased in movies a lot. Usually death in film is treated as a very tragic thing, and the characters react very emotionally to it. And I love that Ari Aster made the decision for this character to not react like that. Because, people don't want to admit it, but there are members of some people's families that are bad people. And, when they die, everyone expects you to, react emotionally to it, and you just don't, because you don't really feel bad. And, you as a person, you kind of feel like, oh, am I supposed to be feeling bad about this right now? And the answer is no. If someone was awful to you in life, no, you shouldn't feel bad about it. But hey, that's a whole other subject for another day. I fucking really dug that part of it, though. It was a unique thing that I don't see a lot in movies, at least personally. But yeah, man, moving on. I'm rambling about this movie because I fucking love it so much. Another part of this movie that I really liked is the filmmaking aspect of it. Obviously, filmmaking, you need to have a little bit of that if you're gonna make a movie that's worth a shit. But yeah, dude, the filmmaking and the art of this movie. I am not someone who poo-poo. I am not someone who poo-poos jump scares. I'm not like, this is just jump scare shit. That's not me. I will acknowledge when they're done poorly and when they're just done as a cheap fucking scare, but there are times when jump scares can be utilized very, very well. In this movie, though, I really respect the fact that all of the horror and all of the spooky stuff you see in this movie, which, don't get me wrong, it's fucking there in spades. It doesn't... I don't know how to explain this. There are shots in this movie where Ari Aster will put something in a frame. Something that's not supposed to be there. Something that's very fucking scary, very fucking demonic, horrifying, yada yada. And he'll just put it there, and he'll put it off in a corner, in like a dark room. And you're like looking at it, and you're like, I'm not sure if I'm seeing that correctly. And like by the time you really gather what it is that you're seeing, it's gone. And you're like, fuck. And there's other shots in the movie where it's like, I watched it the first time, and then I go back and watch it again, and there's shit there that I didn't even notice. And it's like, I love that stuff. I've said it on here multiple times. I like when a director doesn't spoon feed the audience. They don't give them everything. To me, that made this movie even more scary than it would have been if it wasn't there, if that stuff wasn't there. And that being said, like the actual, the carnage and the blood and just, like again, man, this movie does not let up. There are certain things that happen in this movie that are very sad, very tragic. One in particular, I will try not to give away if you haven't seen this movie. But, you gather what happens, you hear the sound, you hear it go down, but, you didn't see it. And you're thinking, oh, okay, well, they're just not going to show it. And then they do. And it holds on that shot. And it just stays there. And there's no getting away from it. There's no nothing. It's just there, and you have to fucking drink it down and take it. It's fucking disgusting, too. Like, it's awful. And like I said, this movie's about, like, a lot of family death, and all of that is depicted very, very raw and very real, and it's a bummer, man. Like, and I say that in the best way possible. This movie is extremely entertaining. It's extremely well made. It is a work of art, but it's fucking rough, dude. But yeah, man, I know I've been rambling about this for about 7 minutes. I just fucking really like this movie. I feel like movies that I haven't reviewed on the channel are gonna get a little more here. And I'm gonna try and not make that happen because I want to go in depth and review all these movies and give them their just due. But yeah, we've been on this for about 7 minutes. So yeah, Hereditary is number 15. Let's go ahead and head on to the next entry. All right, and in a complete tonal shift, we go from Hereditary to Child's Play 2. This will be the section where I'm sure I might get somebody who will be like, oh, why do you think Child's Play 2 is better than Hereditary? Because it's my list, man. Whatever, get over it. Nostalgia is a big role, like I said. But legitimately, I get a lot of enjoyment out of this movie. And a big reason for that. So, spoiler alert, the original Child's Play is not on this list. It was close because I fucking really like the original Child's Play. I think it's one of the best ever. But what I love about Child's Play 2 and why it, in my opinion, is better than Child's Play 1 and a lot of the movies on this that I've previously mentioned, is that You know, horror sequels, especially in the 80s, had that reputation of, like, the sequels are all just shitty. You know, like, there's no sequel that's, like, better than the original, yada, yada, yada. You heard it all the time. And I'm not going to sit here and pretend like all the Child's Play fucking sequels are stellar by any means, because that's just not true. But what Child's Play 2 does so well is it takes the already amazing story of Child's Play 1 and it takes its characters and it improves upon it in every way. Let's start with Andy, dude. You know, given what happened to him in the original Child's Play, yeah, that kid's not going to be well. That kid's not going to be good up here at all. And, you know, that shows, man, he is a little Sarah Connor, basically. Like, he's, you know, always preparing for Chucky. He's always looking for over his shoulder. And I think he's, like, 7 in this movie. I think it's, like, 2 years later, so he's supposed to be 7 years old. Something like that. 6, 7, somewhere around there. But, you know, either way too young to be thinking about the things that Andy's thinking about. You know, a killer doll drove his mom insane and institutionalized her, basically. And now Andy's constantly fearing for his life, thinking that Chucky's gonna get me, Chucky's gonna get me. It's fucking terrifying, man. And I thought the way they handled that character was so well, and when he gets put into an adoption, what the hell? And when he gets put in the foster care, inevitably, you know, he ends up meeting Kyle, and I love their relationship. You know, I love the fact that, you know, she's a little bit of an outlaw, and she's that strong influence that Andy desperately needs right now. And I think those two characters, you know, their relationship is very sweet and very cute. And just the way it develops is awesome. And I love the fact that Andy and Kyle obviously go up against Chucky and, like, pretty steadfast, man. I like that this movie wastes no time. We know Chucky's a killer doll, so we just get right to it. And yeah, man, he kills the fuck out of some people with this, and we get some amazing fucking kills. And let's talk about the Chucky character as well. You know, Charles Lee Ray is having a rough go of it, man. You know, he got fucking killed, and now he is once again resurrected in the Chucky body. So he, I like that, you know, he still has that motivation to possess Andy and to get a human body back. You know, he doesn't want, and you know, that's something that the other movies lose, that Chucky doesn't want to be in this body. Like, Charles Lee Ray hates being a fucking doll. You know, he wants to be a human again. I love the fact that they continue that plot for him. So inevitably at the end, when they're in the fucking doll factory, in that incredible last act, I love the setting of that last act. All good shit. But, you know, inevitably he fails, and he's not able to possess Andy, and he's just now stuck in this fucking body, and he's pissed, which leads to the great, you know, final act of, okay, well, if I can't possess you, I'm just stuck in this forever, I'm gonna fucking kill you now. So, but another thing I love about the Chucky character is the fact that we get, yeah, I just realized I spoiled Child's Play 2, the ending, at least part of it, you know, sorry. But moving on. Another thing I really like about, you know, the Chucky character is that, much like Nightmare 3, and why I like that movie so much, is that they find the perfect blend between comedy and seriousness with Chucky. You know, he is spitting out one-liners. Like I said, you know, how's it hanging, Phil? And all this shit, you've been very naughty, Mrs. Kettlewell, and all this stuff. He's like a funny character, but they leave so much of that horror element with him, you know. And that's another thing about Child's Play 1 is, like, yeah, you know, he lets some quips out, but I like my Chucky a little funny, man. I don't like him Seed of Chucky funny. You know, I don't like him being a fucking comedian, but, you know, he's a little bit of a smartass in this one, man. I like it. To me, they just get the Chucky character so right. And I feel like they never really capture this magic with him again. You know, the Curse and Cult of Chucky movies do a better job than Bride and Seed of Chucky did. But I don't think they ever got to this level of quality with that character as they did with this one. And obviously Brad Dourif's performance once again is fucking great. But yeah, man, that'll do it for Child's Play 2. On to the next one. All right. It. Oh, man, dude. This is a movie that I absolutely fucking love. And ranking it was very rough. But, dude, this movie, Stephen King adaptations for me are very, very hit and miss. I just, there are definitely good ones. There are definitely Stephen King adaptations. Obviously, The Shining is like the biggest one, but there are other ones that I think are really, really good, and there are other ones that fucking aren't like at all. I've been quoted as not being a big Pet Sematary fan, like the film. I think the concept's fucking great, but as far as from concept or from book to film, it's just never translated well for me at all. I don't like either Pet Sematary movie very much at all. But yes, The Shining's the big one, and I would always hear people talk about, the original It miniseries with Tim Curry and all that, and everyone's like, oh my god, it traumatized me as a child, and blah, 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 blah. That's why I'm so afraid of clowns. It's a big reason why people are, like, in general, are afraid of clowns is because of Tim Curry's Pennywise. And all respect to him, I think his portrayal of Pennywise is fucking great. Excuse me, I'm gassed up to the gills today, man. I don't know what the hell's going on. But, I heard about all this stuff about how fucking scary the original It miniseries is, and I finally sat down and watched it. I was actually getting ready for this new one coming out back in 2017. So I sat down and watched it for the first time, and I was just like, really? Like, really? It's, hey, like I said, if you ever pick up a camera or pick up a pencil or a keyboard and you write a movie, direct a movie, or you act in a movie, whatever, I have inherent respect because that's not an easy thing to do. Filmmaking in general is not an easy thing to do. But this movie just did not do it for me at all. It's just, I just didn't like it. I didn't like it. It was too fucking long. It was boring as all sin. It was cheesy. I just didn't dig it. Didn't click with me, man. So, I went into this new one with a little bit of like, okay, let's see how this goes. And I sat down in the theater. Now, the theater I was at had a very, very, very active audience. And I usually hate that, man. I usually hate when people are fucking talking through the movie and they're being just loud and obnoxious. Which I wouldn't say these people are being obnoxious. They were very, very into the movie. This movie did that to them. And they were very, invested. I don't like when people are on their phones and they're talking about bullshit and like yada yada yada. But everyone was so into this film that any little thing that happened, the whole crowd screamed, and I heard a bunch of what are you doing? Don't do that! Yada yada. And people just fucking were so into this. That I don't mind. We talked about it previously on the channel with my favorite horror films or my favorite theater experiences. I like when a crowd is so engaged in a movie that you just it becomes a live event. I love that, and it did that to people. It did it to me and my friends too. We were part of that audience, and we were so fucking into this movie, and I fucking really, really, really liked it. What this film has going for it is that it is the characters, it's the cast. I think everyone in this movie, you already have the strong story of having, this being that is able to manifest into your deepest, darkest fear. That is fucking terrifying. Just the idea of that is scary as shit. So you take that, and again, Bill Skarsgård's Pennywise is just fucking incredible. All respect to Tim Curry. I think he is the best part of the original miniseries, but to me, Bill Skarsgård's just fucking on another level, man. He is so good in this. Yeah, just just a great fucking actor. He's so magnificent. And then we get the kids, you know, and every single one of them fucking nail it. You know, and with kid actors, you know, it can be rough, you know, kid actors can be rough, you know. I mean, we just talked about Child's Play. People have talked about the fact that, you know, that character, like the actor who played that character is, you know, not the best actor in the world, which I've never really understood. It's like they're kids, man. You know, they're fucking kids. Like, just, I don't know. I feel all type of way with that, you know, giving kid actors shit and be like, oh, they're so bad. It's like, dude, come on. Like, if it's an adult, fine. Like, adults can take it. But a kid, man, come on. But anyways, you know, it can be hit and miss sometimes, even in modern times with kid actors. You know, I can admit that. But all of these fucking kids just nail it, man. It is so fucking rad. And they feel like actual kids, too. It's not like, you know, it didn't feel like an adult wrote this dialogue for, like, children, which you can always tell when movies do that. Like, these feel like real, genuine friends, and they're going up against this unstoppable evil in Pennywise. And it's great, man. It's such a fucking great movie. It's a sit-down, popcorn fucking flick. I love it. It's scary as all living shit. And it's just awesome, man. This movie makes me feel good, which is weird because this is, you know, there's a little kid getting his arm ripped off in this movie. But yeah, so without further ado, man, that is where it lands on the top 20 list. Let's go ahead and move on to the next one, baby. All right, you knew it was coming. Day of the Dead. Holy shit. It has been a long time since I talked about this movie. Actually, we go all the way back to Corona Mania 1, which just feels like a fucking lifetime ago. I just realized it's been about 2 years, so thank you all. Seriously. I fucking love you guys, but moving on. Yeah, so Day of the Dead, dude, you know, my favorite fucking zombie film of all time. Genuinely. I just think this movie takes the post-apocalyptic zombie story and just does it great. I've not seen a zombie movie that does it better. You know, you take Walking Dead, which I have all sorts of feelings about that show. But yeah, you know, you take your Walking Deads and the other George Romero zombie movies and your 28, you know, whatever's laters, which I love those movies too, don't get me wrong. But, you know, there are a lot of zombie movies that I fucking adore. We just talked about Train to Busan. You know, I love Overlord. There's so many fucking zombie movies that are fantastic. But to me, you know, everything from the setting of this movie, just being underground and in this very isolated, not like small, but this very isolated place. You know, all the human characters are so at odds. You have the scientists and the military people just constantly butting heads, and honestly, the human characters are what carry this movie for me. And I love that. I love that there are very blatant, real human antagonists in this movie, and the zombies are treated more as this massive fucking just hellstorm. And the zombies aren't on either people's side. They don't give a fuck. They're gonna kill everybody. So it's like you're rooting for these two sides to kind of come to some resolve, but the army guys are such dicks that you don't really, you know, side with them at all. I'm rambling, but you know, this movie just utilizes its human characters so well, and it's, you know, the setting is so fucking great. I love Bub, you know, I love the scientist who trains Bub, the zombie. The scientist has clearly lost his fucking mind, but he has trained this zombie to obey him. And it's his pet, basically. It's so fucking warped and creepy and weird, but it's like, it's such a memorable thing. And like, you see that, you're like, oh, like they trained a zombie, like, ugh. And like you would think it's such a cheesy thing. It's portrayed very well, I don't know, man. This movie just does it for me, dude. I fucking love everything about this. You know, when we get to it, the fucking brutality and the gore is just disgusting. You know, Tom Savini played a big role in this movie. And so, yeah, obviously the gore department's going to be pretty fucking heavy. And when it goes there, man, it goes there. You get the guy getting his head ripped off, and you can hear as he screams his vocal cord thin out. It's like, oh, fuck! Obviously, you know, choke on him. Getting his guts all ripped out and shit. Like, such amazing, amazing stuff in this movie, dude. It's just the perfect zombie film to me, man. It takes everything you would see in a normal zombie movie and just does it the best. And I fucking love it. So, that'll do it for Day of the Dead, man. We're not going to talk too long about it, but because I'll sit here and ramble forever. But yeah, if you want more detailed review of that, go way back in my channel and check out that review. But without further ado, let's just go ahead and get to it. All right, and rounding out the list, it is Bone Tomahawk. I've already made my views on this movie well known. If you want extremely detailed views into my, views. If you want a review, like a detailed review of this movie, go ahead and check it out because I already reviewed it. But just to go over some cliff notes, man, this movie just does everything right. I feel like this is one of those ones, and I talked about this in the review, in my actual review for the movie, where people will say, like, oh, you watch horror. And this is always, like, film snobs and shit. And they're like, oh, you watch horror? That shit, they think it's just all blood, guts, and, which it is. And I love it. But, but they just act like there's no substance to it. And there's just no artistry in the horror genre, which is just an asinine view, if you ask me. But this is one I always show them because it's so fucking great. It's such a well done horror movie. And some people don't even label this as a horror film. There was a time where I wasn't even really convinced, but it's a fucking horror movie. Come on. Like, it's the shit we get in this movie, dude, especially with, yeah, it's a fucking horror movie. And anyone who has seen the movie when I do that, they know exactly what the fuck I'm talking about. I don't even have to say it, but it's an amazing period piece, dude. I'm a big Western guy, I think Westerns are at one point was the most important genre in film, and anytime we get to go back to that, and when it's done well, I think it's very entertaining. I look at modern Westerns like Hateful Eight, and I know this isn't a movie, but Red Dead Redemption, I think, is a fucking great look at Western culture and stuff like that. And it's fucking rad, man. I love that aesthetic, and getting a horror movie in that aesthetic, for me, I was like, oh, fucking sign me up. Come on. Seriously? Just incredible stuff as far as the actual setting is concerned. The characters are all magnificent. I mean, they're all so well written. We get scenes where people are literally just talking over soup, and I'm just glued to the screen because, it's performance, it's performance, it's writing. All those things can be attributed to what makes those scenes just as compelling as scenes of people getting tomahawks to the face and shit like that. The villains in this movie are so fucking scary, dude. I actually went back and watched a couple scenes from this movie in preparation for, this video. And yeah, dude, these villains are just fucking terrifying. Like, the way this movie portrays these guys, like, they're pants shittingly scary. Just the way they're handled. And I think, I am so glad that a lot of this movie is spent with these four core characters going through this insane journey. Just this absolutely grueling fucking journey, all just to get to these guys. And it's like you see what they're capable of in the beginning of the movie when they kill the criminal and the other guy runs off, and you know, the guy who's kind of overlooking the stable, when they come and kill him, you know, you get that these guys are fucking dangerous, like extremely dangerous. And then, you know, by the time these guys get to where the troglodytes are, they're already fucking run down, you know? They're like, they've been on this grueling journey. Their horses die at one point, so they're just on foot for a lot of this, just walking and walking. By the time they get there, man, these troglodytes fuck them up, dude. They imprison them, and the last act is so fucking riveting. Obviously, we have the kill with the guy getting fucking split down in two. Awful. We've talked all about it. Go watch the review. And trust me, I would like, you know, if you guys do watch this one, please go and check out that review, because I'm not doing this film justice here at all. But yeah, man, just, you know, and the ending is so satisfying with Kurt Russell's character giving his own life to finally end these troglodytes and end the madness. And, you know, just a very emotional ending too, you know, that amazing line that he shares with the backup deputy, when he's just like, you know, say goodbye to my wife for me and I'll say hello to yours, because his wife's, you know, dead. Just awesome stuff, man. This movie is can't miss. If you watch one film from these 5 that I've talked about today, please go watch Bone Tomahawk. It is so fucking rad. Amazing movie. But yeah, guys, that'll do it for this section of the top 20 horror films of all time. Please let me know what you thought about the list. Would you switch anything up? Do you think I might have misranked this a little bit? You know, I want to know all about it, man. I want to have a conversation about this stuff. And yeah, man. So without further ado, thank you as always for stopping by, supporting the dream, supporting the channel. Please go back once again and go watch part 1 if you haven't. And yeah, man, let's just discuss. Let's talk about some fucking horror movies, man. Thank you guys, and I'm gonna stop fucking rambling now because the caffeine is coursing through my fucking veins. So, but yeah, thank you guys. I love you. Keep watching horror. Take care of each other, and have a good motherfucking day.